Well Rooted is brought to you by Gerard and Associates CPAs. With locations throughout Los Angeles, Gerard and Associates has been guiding entrepreneurs and creatives towards realizing their dreams for over 20 years. Discover how they can support your vision at gerardcpa.com. Hey, it's Haneen, and I'm back with another episode of Well Rooted. Today, I'm joined by Lara Salmon. She is a performative artist, activist, and is the co-founder of social justice apparel brand For Your Viewing Pleasure. Laura and her partner Vanessa's journey to founding For Your Viewing Pleasure is so interesting and unique. I was so excited to have the opportunity to speak with Laura, and I cannot wait to share this interview with you. Without further ado, please welcome Laura to Well Rooted. Hey, it's Haneen, and I'm back with another episode of Well Rooted. Today, I'm joined by Lara Salmon, co-founder of For Your Viewing Pleasure, artist extraordinaire. Thank you for being here today. I'm so excited to get to speak with you. I think whenever the idea for Well Rooted first came about in my head, I had a list of people I definitely wanted to get to know and talk to. And you and your co-founder, Vanessa, were definitely at the top of my list. I'm just a huge fan of the message and also the work that you do. So can you kind of tell us? I think a lot of our audience probably knows For Your Viewing Pleasure by now. If they
hmm
don't, can you just sort of tell us more about it and where the idea for the brand came about?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And thank you for having me today. So, for your viewing pleasure, we're a social justice apparel brand, and our focus is Palestinian liberation. Vanessa is half Palestinian and half Native American. So, in like very brief, the idea is that what you wear is a platform for what you believe. A t-shirt is a protest sign. It's a way to put what you feel in your heart on your sleeve, quite literally. And also, we do live in a capitalist economy. So, by purchasing something, we can always be raising money.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of our items speak to Palestine in some way or another. And all of them donate to support different organizations that are supporting Palestine. So, a lot of that's direct humanitarian relief on the ground, like through Heal Palestine. And some of it is more supporting organizations that are working towards collective liberation.
Yeah, I think this is the fourth episode that I'm recording wearing For Your Viewing Pleasure.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
I'm a big fan, and I have to say, they are conversation starters. Like I do get
hmm
a reaction. Most of the time it's positive, and I do get a reaction anytime I'm wearing it out. But it's also nice, like you said, it is sort of like like in protest, right?
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to carry that message with me no matter where I am.
hmm
And, a lot of times we're like limited to social media, and it feels like I wish I could do more or just be
hmm
more um, expressive, right, with my views. What has been the general reaction from consumers as well as onlookers and people, that you've met, whether through your events or just out in public? What has the reaction been like, and how has it been received?
I think so we we started what we're doing in 2021 and we officially founded the brand in 2022. We had our first big event in Los Angeles at the beginning of 2023. And one woman said to Vanessa, which I feel like really, she said, "Thank you for outing me. Like, thank you for giving me a way to show that I am." I mean, she was Palestinian, but to show like who I am.
Hmm.
And I think now it's like gone far beyond that to like show what you believe.
Hmm.
Um, for me, there is like there are different reactions for sure. I live on the east side, so they're mostly positive.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that another thing that we've seen since October 7th is like a lot of our stuff in protests. Like a lot of the stuff that gets tagged is people on the streets, is people like you doing a podcast or like speaking, speaking in some kind of like city assembly and or at the airport.
Or at the airport, yeah. Great place to
Yes.
protest.
I'm also I'm like really proud of it. I just like think if there's someone like sleeping in their seat wearing that.
Wearing this
Yeah.
sweatshirt of all the shirts, this is
Yeah.
the one you should be wearing to the airport, actually. It was made for the airport. I'm actually traveling on Thursday, so I might just wear this to,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great idea. Um, yeah, I can I actually wore this the first day I wore it. I wore it to the gym,
Yeah.
and there was this guy, he was about to teach a Pilates class, and I saw him do like a double take, like looking at
Yeah.
me as I, because he was walking into a room as I'm walking out of it, and then he was like, "Oh my God, your shirt," and he was like, I had to reread it because I thought you were like with the other side, and I was like, no, no, no. I'm glad you read it, and he was like so relieved. And I was like, how nice that he found comfort in the fact that I displayed this, and he probably has no ties to Palestine or to this issue at all, but it spoke to
Mhm.
him in some way. And it was nice to connect to someone who otherwise wouldn't know where I stood on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is I mean, when that one first got like a week after the event where you bought that one too, someone messaged us and they said, "Yeah, my barista gave me free coffee."
Oh, I love that. That's so nice. And it's the little things, right? Like,
Yeah.
and we kind of need more of that, because how else do you start talking to others outside of your household or community about this this topic, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And this is a collaboration, and you guys do really cool collaborations. Like you have one
Mhm.
with Jinan Matari, you have one with Slow Factory, um, I think Alana Hadid as well. How
Mhm.
are those collaborations coming to play? Are you guys reaching out to people? Are people reaching out to you? Or does it just kind of work organically?
It's a bit of both.
Okay.
Um uh Janan actually she reached out to us
Okay.
and we've done two collaborations with her and become really good friends, I would say at this point. And um yeah, it's a bit of we Vanessa's actually known Alana Hadid for maybe 10 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was kind of just a conversation. And when we officially launched our brand, it was with a collaboration with Alana. And so I think that that first piece, which was a handwritten recipe for Palestinian kanafa
Ooh,
in Alana's handwriting, it was her cousin's recipe.
I
That
love that.
one was really that one was really special to me. It was, at like a different time than now, but that one holds a lot like to me that one was a really unique kind of celebration of culture that
Mhm.
right now it's almost like we hardly have time to do that on a shirt at least because right now we're responding to like the urgency of genocide constantly.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point, because you guys launched way before October 7th.
Mhm.
And although it was already rooted in social justice, you guys are like all hands on deck. I mean, I feel like you have built this reputation of authenticity, but also you're very community driven and you're very driven in social justice. And it really shows through the work that you do, your advocacy. Um, and it's very inspirational. And also it feels like you guys are just go, go, go. Like you guys are, I mean, just this past year you've had several launches. They've all done really well. They're all, I think, really sought after. Like they're unique. It's like you want to wear it. Um, and so like how, as an business owner, as an entrepreneur, how have you guys had to sort of shift gears over the last 400 days? And how has it impacted your business and how you do business?
Um, I think I can like So when we start, Vanessa's background is in graphic design for t-shirts. She's been doing that for 15 years, and she was
Mm,
designing for big brand companies. Like, she designed a private label that sold to Urban Outfitters and Anthropologie.
wow.
So that's been her bread and butter, and she supported herself since she was probably like 16. Um so she's and so it was like during the pandemic that she was really, I want to start my own line.
Mm,
And that was one thing in her mind. And then another thing that was happening is that we met, and I had spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I had more experience in humanitarian assistance work. And so it was kind of like this combining of, she wanted to do something that was close to her heart and political. And I wanted to bring in how, like, how can, how can we give back? Like, what can we do? So I mean, really, the like, what for your viewing pleasure is hasn't changed since that day, except that probably the first year, it was like a very unsustainable idea. Like, I mean, before October 7th, we weren't, it was for all like purposes, the level of being, we had to take a lot of other freelance. We were both like, it was very part time,
mhm.
as most companies start. And we were selling maybe one shirt a week, the August right before, which is the lowest selling season, anyways. But then that October, our inventory cleared out, and there was this like, this moment of, okay, we're going to rise to this occasion because this is what we're doing. And this is like, we both dropped everything. I dropped my art practice. She dropped her freelance. She dropped designing for this other label. Like, we both dropped everything and probably worked 10-hour days for a year every day.
Wow.
Like I'm talking holidays, weekends. Um, it was really important to both of us to be raising as much money as possible. So we don't hire people. Like, we very rarely hired occasionally friends to come in and help pack orders, um, or to help like with the events. But we I almost don't feel like I can say I'm a business owner, because it's just like Vanessa and I making Instagram posts from bed.
Wow, this all started in bed, and
Yeah.
look at where it's gone. Well, some
Yeah.
of us just like, scroll on TikTok in bed. So good for you guys for building a
Whoa,
whole
well, we do
brand.
that too.
Okay. And what's really cool is that you guys are more than just apparel. You guys have really built community, and you organize and create these amazing events where we were just talking beforehand. I've been able to connect with really cool people. I'm sure you guys have gotten to know so many members of your
Mhm.
community as well. What has
Yeah.
that been like, getting to host these like in-person events and really raise more awareness for the cause as well?
So we launched FYVP in Beirut,
Oh wow.
and Vanessa, she didn't get to grow up in an Arab household. We won't get into like the childhood trauma of her family coming from Palestine, but she missed that like really important, I think,
Hmm.
opportunity. And in going to Lebanon, she she saw this culture that she felt robbed of. And so she came back to Los Angeles, and she was like, I want to meet my people here, and I want to create a space for them. I want to, like, originally she came up with the idea for a little soup, and she said, I want it to be like all Palestinian vendors raising funds for Palestine. And maybe we realized that was like a little bit hard to do and a little bit
Hmm.
like exclusive, but Um, she was 100% and just like steadfast and I'm going to do this. I'm going to meet my people. My people are going to have space. And I mean, pretty much since the first event, they've been selling out and they're a lot of work. I definitely never thought that I would be an event organizer or like know all the rental companies in
Yeah.
LA or like be talking to security businesses. But uh yeah, I I'm really proud of her for doing that. I'm like proud of the community. Like I mean, you can just see right here like half the stuff that I have on right now and every day is from the vendors that are at those events.
I love that. I love your bag. I was eyeing your bag earlier too.
Oh yeah, it's this is a really cool brand. We just did a collab with them.
Oh, no way.
This is Lamsa and so it's these are hand crocheted by Syrian and Lebanese artisans living in the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon.
Oh, awesome.
So like each one, I don't know if these videos see this, but like that says a beer, so that's the woman who made it.
Oh, I love that. That is so cool.
Yeah. And I mean, then like the small world is the woman who runs Lamsa, Natalie. I actually met her in Beirut in 2018 and she came to LA and recognized me at a different marketplace.
Like randomly unplanned.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so from there we started the conversation and now we've just released a collab with them that's raising funds for Haven for Artists, which is a really amazing group doing like helping out with displaced communities on the ground right now in Beirut.
That's incredible. Do you still have your connections in Beirut and friends there? And are you able to communicate and keep in touch with them?
I was with probably my closest friend in Beirut last night. She's in LA, flying back tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Flying back to Beirut.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wishing her the best and all the safety. I mean, this is really to be able to create and organize and to really like help propel this community forward with your art and your brand while still, worrying about and going through this agony that we're all sharing and it's really something like that is real resilience and resistance and I commend you on that. It's not easy. I mean, that's such a easy way to say it. It's not easy. Like it's probably very torturous. So I really commend you and thank you for continuing to give us hope and give us a space to really find community. To your point earlier when you spoke about how Vanessa kind of needed to build this community so she can connect with her own people as well. I think, she's not entirely alone in that as well, right? Like I did grow up, for example, in a Palestinian household to some
Hmm.
extent, but I didn't grow up with like the uncles and aunts and like all the family around me. And I didn't really have like a big community. And I think and I was in Texas and then coming to LA, it feels like our community is even more spread out. Here
Yeah.
it's just a bigger city. And I think I did and I'm just speaking about my experience, but I feel like for a long time, I spent time investing into other communities that weren't necessarily serving me or really acknowledged my existence or acknowledged where I
Hmm.
fit in, right? In the world. And I think for better or for worse, October 7th and this live stream genocide that we're all witnessing has kind of pushed all of us to be more intentional with the people we surround ourselves with, that the people that we shop with.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's been really eye-opening and and if anything that could be our silver lining is that it really pushed us together in some ways. Um, so thank you for that. Thank you for providing community in that sense and for to you and to Vanessa for creating that. And I hope that, we'll have more of these events to look forward to in the future. Hopefully, in the time of a free Palestine and free
Yeah.
Lebanon as well. That is the goal. So you mentioned Vanessa's background was in design, and she's, has a very successful career in that. I want to talk about your background as well as an artist because I've been following you as well on social media. And I see some of the work that you've put out as well. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of your inspiration, your own personal inspiration that led you to activism as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a performance artist. That's my medium. And with people, it's like a very niche field almost within the art world, which is the way that I can explain it is that, you know, an artist is hit with a concept, a painter makes a painting, a sculptor makes a sculpture, and I do a performance. So the work tends to be more conceptual and durational, and not what we think of traditional performing arts in terms of theater or dance.
Mhm.
So I I actually started doing that in Beirut in Lebanon when I was going to school there 17 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Did
that
did you grow up in Beirut? Like were you okay.
No, I grew up in San Diego, and then I did my last year of my undergraduate degree in Beirut.
Okay.
And that was my first time that I lived in the Middle East. And so I would say that that was really formative to me. I was studying Arabic, and the rest of my life since then, I should say that before I went to Beirut, I was studying to major in development studies, um, in international relations. And I left that major because I felt that the way that the Western education system was talking about that was just like very top down and I really like lost faith. I thought I wanted to go into NGO work and I really lost faith in that. And so I was said, okay, I've always been creative. I'm going to be an artist. And I think that since that time for me, there's been the pull back and forth between like, how do you, like use privilege that you've been born into? How do you use that to like serve and create a better world? And how is that connected to art and performance art and activism? And so like soon after coming back from Lebanon, I got heavily involved in refugee assistance work here in LA. And that ended up bringing me back to Jordan
Mm.
and just really ended up like shaping my life. I've been to Syria, I've been to Palestine, I've spent significant time in Egypt because my aunt is married to an Egyptian man. And I've also spent significant time in Morocco. Um, that being said, I feel that I have like seen a lot that is not typical for like a non-Arab artist to have experienced, and it's greatly influenced my life path and my art and starting FYVP with Vanessa. Um, yeah.
What what specific insight has it given you as a human and as an artist? Um, like to be able to live in those places and do the work that you've done there. Like are there like specific moments that you think maybe played a role in shaping you as an artist?
Yeah, definitely. I think so for me, my art is very body based, and I kind of grew up in like a living with chronic pain and this whirlwind of like being in pain. So I'm very like I think through my body a lot, and being in the like those cultures are much more community based, much more neighborly loving, and especially working with refugees. And I think that really touched me as like you can't express the feeling of community that I've experienced in the Middle East really in like words. And it was really like calming and good for my soul and my body to be surrounded by that form of love. And that's not something like every time I come back to the US, I feel very lonely. I feel like we're driving around with our windows rolled up and going home and watching our TVs and we're burnt out and we have this like high factors of productivity expectation, um these like instant gratification needs.
Hmm.
And it's yeah, it's been so then what is my place as a non-Arab artist to like bring that into the work, which I think is just like something that I've always grappled with. And lately Vanessa has been coming into the performance work, which has been really
That's so cool.
beautiful, especially because she is like, I think neither of us are like particularly fond of expressing ourselves through words. Hers is through graphics and design, and mine is through usually non-speaking performance. So to like come into the space of doing performance together has been, yeah, it's been heartfelt. We just did a performance in Greece together that utilized her blood.
Okay, I saw that
Yeah.
on your social. Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about that and the
Yeah.
concept behind that? That's really cool.
Yeah. So it was for the Carpentier Biennale in northern Greece, and it was an extension of a work that I did in Cyprus a couple years ago, which was about the mining industry that my family was involved with. And I invited the community to brand the locations of the main 19 mines of Cyprus onto my back. And so they were burned into my back. And then this performance, what we wanted to do was expose what's being planned as this underwater cable that is going to unite the power grids of basically occupied Palestine, Cyprus, and Greece. So it will enable, among other things, for the occupiers in Palestine to send energy, to sell energy to the European Union,
Mm.
which is going to be another thing that they are stealing and selling and profiting off of. And so we wanted to raise awareness around this. So we took Vanessa's blood and we traced the line that will be like on my feet represented Palestine, and that I wrote Palestine in Arabic and then traced this line of blood representing this underwater cable up across my back, which had Cyprus branded onto it, and to my forehead, where she wrote Greece across my forehead to, yeah, to just like call out the fact that this is going to be made. This is going to be, again, as many, as many like, as many times happens, it's going to be occupiers taking resources from indigenous communities and selling them to their benefit.
That is wild. Like that, I mean, that is like a new level of art I didn't even know existed. Honestly, like that's incredible. Where do you get this idea, like these ideas from? Obviously, you're in the headspace of an artist, so you're gonna see the world and see solutions probably in your head that we don't see, right? Like you're thinking in a more creative sense in terms of activism, which we probably need more of in this world. But what is your creative process like? Like, do you get an idea and you're like, are you jotting it down? Are you like, I'm gonna, like, do you start planning right away? What is, how does that idea come about?
This one came about. I was actually doing a lot of research about Chevron and occupied Palestine and how like basically how Chevron is largely fueling the genocide. And through that I found out about this planned underwater cable.
Mm.
And so but then it was like that sat with me for a while. And then when we were invited to do this performance, I had the idea. And I don't know, when I get an idea, it's very like, it has to happen. It just like feel this like feeling that it needs to go out into the world. And that's how I want to say something.
Okay. That's good. I mean, that's really good to say out loud because I feel like there could be artists that could be watching this or listening to this that have these really great ideas or really eccentric ideas, right? And they don't really have someone to share it with or maybe to, like let them know like no, it's okay to communicate this idea with the world. And hearing you say like no, this needs to go out into the world. Like I need to get this out is really
Yeah.
it's really a positive thing to hear.
I mean, I think it's also, at least to me right now, I feel a deep amount of sorrow that everything that we've done in the last 14 months
Mhm.
is not working fast enough.
Mhm.
And I've always believed that like performance art is a form of activism, and that performance is probably not going to like make a huge change, but I do think that it will
Mhm.
make some people think differently. It will open it will open a mind in a new way, um, in a different way than a protest does, or than wearing, you know, a sweatshirt like that does. And I think that we have to be using all these resources. The art world has been like disgustingly silent on the genocide, and I want my work to infiltrate that space.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know. I'm I think that part of being an activist though is that like you have to keep thinking of new ways, because it's very like there needs to be like, at least the way that I'm an activist, there's like some level of infiltration, there's some level of fuck you, there's some level of cheekiness, there's some level of, like there's a deep level of integrity, and there's a deep belief that like we can have a better world, and we will have a better world, and we will change it.
Yeah, and it feels like all through history, artists have been at the forefront of change, right? I mean, every huge cultural or political change has been in some ways influenced or I would say led by art and artists in some way. And I think that's why it is so frustrating. And I think we all innately know that. Like we've learned it through our history textbooks to some extent, and that's what makes it
Mm-hmm.
so frustrating to see all these self-proclaimed artists across different industries just be really silent
Mm-hmm.
at this very obvious genocide that's happening, that's being live streamed to all of us. And with a lot of people, like with you and Vanessa and the work that you do, it seems like it's really just amplified your creativity in some ways. And through this type of art, through the music industry, we've seen it with Macklemore and Belly and some of these really great albums that have rolled out over the past year. But yeah, it feels like it's not enough. Like we
Mm-hmm.
are like artists are at the forefront of our culture, and it's like why is not more being done? Like what would your advice be to other artists um like right now at this moment? Like what would you tell them, like to an artist who doesn't really know where to begin, or to an activist or someone who wants to become more active? Like what is your advice? Where can someone get started? Where would you start if you weren't already doing this?
I think start with your heart, like start with your gut. Know that know that like know that you will and you can like make a change. But I mean, I think what I've also really struggled with is the silence by so many, that because I feel like almost what you're talking about is someone who's not yet a formed like in their
Mm.
their career or their identity as an artist. And
Yeah.
I struggle with so many colleagues that go like
Mm.
consider themselves professional artists that are not like there's if they're not saying something about what's going on right now, then to me the idea that their work is political or anything more than wallpaper is nothing. And I understand that, you know, a lot of the silencing is happening from money and people that are controlling the art world. And I think like one thing we've realized in the last year is like really the deep claws that Zionism has. But I just like I want to invite those artists to realize that they may not be their lives may not be in danger, but they are also oppressed and they are
Mm-hmm.
also controlled. And I've had a lot of artists personally reach out and say, share with me where they stand, but are they going to post anything about it publicly? No. Are they going to risk having a career in this, I don't know, this like why would you want to work with somebody that's okay with genocide?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm for sure I'm like lost opportunities, but I consider that opportunities that I'm happy to know that I wouldn't have wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Like that there's no, you know, we're gonna I'm like more and more interested in art existing outside of the art world now, like outside of the institutions that silence and because it's like you said, art should be a revolutionary force. Art should be changing hearts and minds. And the art world is silencing so much art right now. And there's
Mm-hmm.
so much infighting. There's so much gossip. There's so, you know, like I think any young artist who has something to say should just say it. And you don't need the art world anymore. You have social media, you have, you know, you have people in community that want to support your work, that want to like,
I feel like people are yearning for that work, you know,
yeah,
like because it speaks to us and to our souls.
yeah,
And sometimes, you know, you don't even realize your own spirit is like suppressed to some degree. And then when you see a work of art, even a t-shirt, right? Like we were talking about earlier, like it kind of opens up a, you know, something inside of you. Like you just feel a little bit more seen and alive in some ways. And so it's like, yeah, you're kind of yearning for that, you know, you want that sort of artistic expression that aligns with your own personal
yeah,
beliefs and I mean not it's not even personal beliefs. It's just a matter of just justice, right? Like social justice and right and wrong. And it's like why is that so hard for you to like to show, you know, something meaningful, you know, that coincides with that. It's really devastating. And
yeah.
it feels like yeah, it's like less like you're less artistic by not like you're not exercising your artistic muscle in some to some degree.
Yeah, we get a lot of video tags of people like getting dressed for the day and our stuff.
I love that.
And you just like it's kind of this moment where you see them step into like, this is what I'm gonna say today. This
Mhm.
is my power. This is like it's really, really easy to feel helpless and depressed. And I do feel that a lot. And Vanessa feels that a lot. And sometimes seeing someone just like choose to be like, okay, this is like I like you know, I mean at this point everyone in the world should like the occupation should be paying for our therapy right now because they have
Yeah.
so traumatized us. Like everybody, even if you're not saying anything, you've been traumatized. Even if you're only reading mainstream media, you've been traumatized. And to see someone like be like, okay, I'm gonna like come out of my like I'm gonna like take the blanket off and get out of bed today and put on a shirt and go walk down the street. Cause like some days that's all you can do, and it
Yeah.
sucks. And that's what real oppression is. I
Yeah.
think when it's like the fear is trickling down to this level to like we're scared to like tell our politicians that they shouldn't fund a genocide because of our careers.
It's insane. And I think people have lost touch with reality in the sense of like the role that they play and that others play in this world. I think people have minimized their own role in this world, like their own impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even in terms of like speaking about politicians, like those are elected officials that are public servants, and I think people have lost a sense of that, right? Like it's like you're allowed to demand things of these people. You're expected to demand.
They work for us.
They literally work for us.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's happened over the past 2 decades that has really brainwashed individuals to the point where they feel like they just don't carry any sort of power in
Yeah.
them. And yeah, sometimes I feel like the only power I have is a sweatshirt
Yeah.
that says Israel is a settler colony, and it makes me feel like I carry some power and some weight walking down the street, or going to the gym. And sometimes that's like all we can do. What is When you think about for your viewing pleasure, this all, you've had the brand for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
If we weren't in the midst of a genocide, what do you think for your viewing pleasure would be focusing on right now?
I think w- um I think the direction that we want to go and like still go is just like pulling the conversation around Palestinian liberation into a bigger conversation around human rights and refugee rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights. How is it all interrelated while still really centering Palestine? And so I think that that's definitely still the direction of the brand. We really want to be an activist apparel brand. We want this to be like whether you're wearing this to a protest or in your bedroom, you are wearing a statement. You're wearing a conversation starter, even if it's just you looking in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that definitely remains true. Obviously, I think we still could have made that sweatshirt, like, but
Yeah.
like there's certain ones that like our the press shirt that we did with Janan, and we wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain ones that are like, or like the Free Palestine election tee. Like there's certain
Right.
ones that are responding to really specific political moments. Um,
But a lot of them are pretty evergreen in terms of
mhm,
the stance on just Palestine and collective liberation.
mhm.
Yeah. No, like even the I love like your Dodgers t-shirt. I was wearing it the other day and my son even steals it and wears it. And I'm like, "Oh, I love that he like wants to wear this stuff too at such a young age." And like even when he's
Yeah,
at a friend's birthday party. And sometimes I'm like, "Should I especially if I'm not there, like do I want him wearing that?" But I'm like, he's so proud, and for him like I feel like it also is a way to sort of teach younger children and younger adults like this is what you wear and this is how you will respond to someone when they ask you about it,
yeah,
right? And so it's kind of actually opened up the door for me to have those conversations with him where because we did have actually an incident not in one of FYVP's shirts but like early on after October 7th we did have an incident where someone was not very polite and how they came and spoke to us in front of my children based off of what we were wearing. And like it kind of open like this is how we respond to people like this, and this is what we don't say to people like this, and this is so it's a conversation started in more than one ways. It's kind of
yeah.
like about how you will communicate with the world, but also educating our younger citizens and how they will communicate with the world as well. So I think it's really cool. I hope you guys have like more kids apparel in the future as well.
Okay, noted,
I'm
noted.
just putting that out there. um, like let's say 5 years from now, if we were to have this interview again and talk again, what what will you guys be working on for your viewing pleasure, and what will sort of the legacy be that you've built,
Mhm.
going forward?
Um, that's a good question. I mean, I have to be super honest that we have been so underwater that we don't
And
have a 5-year plan right now.
that's okay.
And that's that I think that's something that Vanessa and I are struggling with, is like not having time to think into the future and not, I mean, the reality is like we haven't built a sustainable model. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
paid myself this year.
Okay. I have a
And
CPA outside the door that can help you with
yeah, yeah.
that. That's what he's here for.
Yeah. So it, I think that bringing FYVP into being like being more sustainable when we are in a less urgent situation, um we would really like, we would like to have a team that's also like a close team, like a family
Mm-hmm.
that's working together.
Yeah.
um that's a dream. I would like to go more back to my art practice in its forms of activism, because
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's like really where my heart is as a human.
Mm-hmm.
um Vanessa would like, she really, we, two things we really want to keep about the brand is we really want to always be responding to, like, if something happens and we need to release a shirt the next day, we can do that, because that's how the brand started. Was we This was our first design ever in 2021 before we dreamed of being a brand. We
I love
released
that.
it overnight on a one-page website that we built off of like Squarespace.
Oh, wow. It feels like, sorry to cut you off, but it feels like because you're already a creative person, like you, and so is Vanessa, that like entrepreneurship is almost like channeling your creativity into a new medium in some ways. Is that what it feels like for you?
Yeah, yeah. Um Yeah, I mean, I never thought I was gonna like learn so much about international shipping or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
but it is, or
That's a good
just
point.
anything about that. But it is like definitely, I think that Vanessa would really like, right now, the brand does feel a bit scattered and we
Hmm.
keep doing new things and trying new things. I think that's normal in the first couple of years, but to get a little bit more of just like a really specific aesthetic and style to our social media, to who we are, to what we do, so that for us it's not like, it's a little bit more like plug and play
Hmm.
when you have these mechanisms built, so there can be more actual creativity that she has time for in the designs, and that I have time for in the writing and the what goes on and like the speaking about the brand, so to get kind of, to not be doing everything at once, because it's very
Yeah.
hard to find that kind of focus and steadfastness when you're constantly thinking of new things, or like we work with a lot of different people, so it's,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
you guys have been like go, 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 especially this past year.
Hmm.
And like, because I know you guys have had like community events here, you've had on the East Coast as well, and you guys have traveled like to Europe for your art as well. So I am really excited to see where the brand goes in the future. I and to follow along in your journey. Where can other people follow along? Where can they find you on socials?
The brand's Instagram is For Your Viewing Pleasure, and our website is foryourviewingpleasure.co. Those are, and then from there you can find Vanessa and I. Um, but that's, yeah, that's our hub. We're gonna start a TikTok soon.
Okay, that's
Inshallah. We'll
exciting.
see.
Inshallah. Of all the outfits of the day that people send you.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
know.
guys need a whole TikTok just for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Laura. It was so nice speaking with you. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you. It was really nice.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Well Rooted. If you enjoyed today's episode and felt it brought you value, please subscribe, leave a comment, give us a like, and a review. This episode of Well Rooted has been brought to you by Girard & Associates CPAs. With locations across all of Los Angeles, Girard & Associates has been helping entrepreneurs and creatives make their dreams come true for over 2 decades. Go to girardcpa.com to learn more. This is Haneen, and we are all well rooted.